right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today, Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome PlayStation Podcast. This is episode 299, and this is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. Before we get on with the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome. And if you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PSN, you can find me at Anchorless _81 and Mr. Jake Peters at JakeSaw01. And as always, you can write the show at PS This Is Awesome at gmail.com. Most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends. Be sure to leave comments and rate this podcast as you see fit. As a reminder, we're a video podcast as well, so you can watch the show if you prefer at our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to that. And for new and or long-time listeners, we have a Patreon. You can support the show at a $1 level, and the Patreon tier is called the one and only $1 Club. So head over to patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome and become a $1 patron. We will send you a free die-cut vinyl sticker in the mail and give you a shout-out on the show. That's $1 per month, not per week. It's $1 a month. You guys can do it. Please, please, please. Thank you very much. It's never expected, always appreciated. With that out of the way, Jake, how are you doing this lovely evening?
I have a problem with the world and how it's going. So
I gotta fucking turn the heat down.
It's been a problem for a long time that stuff that we buy is now becoming more expensive and you're getting less of what you buy, specifically in the food and drink space. I don't know if this has been a thing for a long time, but I'm a big, as far as beer goes, one of my favorite types of beer is Oktoberfest or Marzen style beers. They've always been kind of, as far as like if you want to call it the craft space, I would say that's probably my favorite style, or like the international space, I guess you could say. So usually this time of year, I'm always excited to go. I go to the like local brew shop, and every year I try to find just like a different Marzen style beer from usually somewhere in Germany, because that's where like all the best ones come from, because that's like their thing, right? So this year I was able to get my hands on this Bavarian brand called Eyinger, which is they're literally like 20 miles from Munich, which is where Oktoberfest happens every year. And so I was like, oh, sweet. They're like a legit brewery. I'm going to get it. Comes in a 4-pack. I have no idea how much fucking money I spent on this thing, but I bet it was every bit of $10, $15 for a 4-pack of beer, which is insane if you think about it already. But then I get home and I'm drinking it. I'm like, yeah, this is really good. And then I look at the bottle, 11.2 ounces for this bottle of beer. Now, for those of you who aren't tuned in America, we do things by 12 ounces. So not only am I paying more for this beer, which is admittedly good, I'm getting less beverage for my money. So we see this all over the place. You know, you buy a granola bar. It's a little bit smaller than it used to be. Costs a little more money. But I don't know. I don't like it. I would rather them just be like, it's fucking 12 ounces and it costs 50 cents more.
Sometimes they'll make the container the same looking, but the little dimple on the bottom will be like much more. So you're actually getting less.
Yeah, it's offensive to my sensibilities. I just want them to be transparent. Think about it. I mean, wouldn't it just be better if they were just transparent? Like, look, this shit costs a lot of money now to make. So, it's going to be more expensive, or you can buy this smaller version. Cause this is like a marketing thing it's like, it's been allowed forever. I don't entirely know like why this is legal, but you ever go to the store and you get like a thing of laundry detergent and it's like 40% more on the fucking bottle.
Yeah.
And if you actually like look really close at the fine print, it's like 40% more of this size bottle, which is not the size bottle that you're normally buying. It's like a smaller bottle.
Right.
So it's kind of like when you go buy a domestic car in the United States, for example, let's say you go buy a Chevy Silverado, it's a truck. They increase on purpose the MSRP on all their vehicles so that they can have all of these deals that are like $7,000 off sticker price. The MSRP is just $7,000 more expensive, so that they can have these deals to attract people to buying their product.
Yeah, it's
all about like
panache.
It's mind games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be fair, we all fall for it, and there's nothing, I guess, really necessarily wrong with buying something.
That's why. Well, it's the same premise that like when you go to a store, it's not $3, it's $2.99, because something in your brain says $2, even though it's really $3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, my opinion, marketing is just psychology, and it's really, but doesn't it almost seem like it's always intended to take advantage of the consumer?
Oh yeah, because they want to make money off of you. It's never like, hey, it's never legitimately, here's more for nothing. You know, it's never going to be that, dude, ever.
Well, no, I do think that there are brands that market you with reasons why, with like consumer friendly reasons why they're a better brand. Like there are brands out there, I think, that really do market themselves by actually being better. But I think that generally in the product space, less in the services space, but in the product space, it's like, we just need you to buy this shit, and we're going to tell you whatever we need to tell you for you to, you know, come buy it. I don't know. This is not really a conversation for this podcast. I just was enjoying one of these lovely Bavarian beers, and it just made me think about that, because shit is just too expensive now.
Yeah.
And I would rather everyone just be like, if I found actually, I don't know if this is true or not, but don't you feel like it would be better if the company just like was honest about it? Because I feel more pissed off. Like think about this. Think about how Sony came out, and when they increased the price of video games, and they're like, look, if you guys want fucking $250 million video games, you're gonna have to pay a little bit more for it. And I get people want to argue about how, like, oh, Sony's got all this money, yada yada yada. But to me, it's like, there's no it's not free. Like, they're not giving, like, that they're a business. They're not obligated to give you anything.
Correct.
You know, so like you're asking them to make less money because you are in a particular situation, which I totally understand too. Like, we should be making more money as the workforce goes. So it's weird. I don't know. I didn't really mean to open this can of worms. I was just thinking about beer, and I was like, why is this, like, I want this beer. To be honest, it's probably better that there's less beer in there, because you don't really need to be drinking beer. It's kind of,
well, it did come all the way from Munich, like you said, so they would have had to pay more in freight if your beer was 12 ounces as opposed to 11.1.
That's true. It is heavier.
They're skimming to save money on shipping, probably. Not to take advantage of you. They just got to cut down on the overhead. Dude, I got a crazy story for you, and then we'll get into video game stuff, man. Let me just say this. And it's really, I mean, I'm not going to name the company, but I'm going to say something. And it's going to get people thinking. So for music, when you want to have, you're an independent artist like myself and like my band One Off by Land, we're not signed to a label. Not only do we have to front the money and the time to do everything, make the t-shirts, pay the artists, write the songs, do the studio stuff ourselves, pay for the production of all of these things, and then make like $50 a night at a concert, you know, but we also have to compete and put our music out on all of these digital platforms, right? So for the listeners who don't know, there are like maybe 5 reputable distribution companies that prey on independent artists to be the middle person. Like, we give them our music and then they get it out to Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, all those things, right? There's like 5 of these companies that are like, arguably some are better than others. We have chosen to go with one, and we've been going with them since our first album. Fred Oakman, my solo stuff is with the same company. So we have this new record coming out, One of Bylan. And we have dumped, I'm getting ready to put out another video, and it's just, it starts off, it's a video for the second single, but like it starts off with just me saying like it's January, blah, 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 2022. We're beginning to record the new One of My Land album. Got a COVID mask on, and Jim in the background says, it'd be nice to think that this will come out soon, but something to the effect of like, but you know how much damn work it is to make these things. So we're heading into 2024. We started this process in 2022. All original material, everything that we've done on this record is fantastic. It's the record I'm most proud of that our band has done so far. And we have everything in line. We have a release show coming up. So we worked with Idle Star Productions to get a release show set up. And it's going to be in our hometown. And we just played that sold out show in Pittsburgh off of their heads. So we're getting some traction. And we uploaded our new album, to this distribution company that we use all the time. And you tell them when you want the record to drop, and it's never an issue. Never an issue. But it wasn't showing up like on our side to see that like it had cleared all the gateposts to get that it was actually still on track, right? So our guitar player Troy writes and he says, "Hey, can we get an update? Because Walls, our first single, was supposed to be available for streaming like everywhere, and it never dropped. And because it was going to be a single. And they didn't write back. And we're like, what the fuck? It shouldn't be this hard for an independent musician to orchestrate stuff. It's already hard to begin with. But when you're a paying customer and you don't get a response, and there's only a few select of these distributors that are reputable that you can trust. So he writes again. He says, "Hey, what's going on?" Now, I'm going to read you a bullshit response that we got. And our album is supposed to come out, let me see here, on the 3rd. I believe it's coming out on the 3rd of November. And so we write them. And this... Even if you're not involved, this will get your blood boiling. 100%. Nothing is worse than an answer that is a non-answer. And they write back, "Hey, hope you're well. We've been notified by stores and streaming services that one or more of your releases," has to be the one we're inquiring about, "has been rejected due to editorial discretion." And then it says, "Unfortunately, stores are no longer accepting releases from you via our distribution company. You'll need to try another distributor for future releases." And then it says, "Please understand that we are unable to assist with reversing this, and many of the features we offer you have now been restricted as a result." They also say, "We have no other information or context, and we are unable to get involved or take sides when this occurs. We're just the messenger passing along the info to you in hopes that you find it helpful." And then they say, "We understand that this email is probably frustrating to you, and we regret having to be the messenger of bad news. However, we hope this email is helpful, and we thank you for understanding." So 2 years of fucking work, and we're being told we can't put it on online streaming platforms, which is the main way that people listen to fucking music, and it's supposed to be out in like 2 weeks. So
can you use it? So Question number one. They didn't tell you what they meant by like editorial dispute?
Nope. And they said they couldn't give us any more information. Editorial discretion. So somebody.
What does that even mean?
I don't even fucking know. It's a really broad umbrella to hide under. So it's like, is it somebody at Apple? Was it somebody at one of these streaming services that heard our record and they're like, nope? But first off, I don't know why you would be like, nope, because it's fucking good and it's all fucking original music. The artwork is 100% original. There's nothing that we didn't put TLC into. Lyrics, music, as far as we know, 100% original music.
The only thing that I can think of is if maybe something as far as like the naming and shit of like any of your songs or album or anything are somehow trademarked by somebody else or something, and that's already on their service, and that's why they don't want to carry it.
But you'd think they would be open about that and be like, here's the reason.
Yeah, but they won't even tell you which services are denying it.
No, so we're completely in the dark.
So can you try a different distribution service?
We're trying right now, but I don't know if we're going to make the cutoff. And whoever it was that blackballed us, if it is Apple Music, if we resend our shit through a different distributor, they're going to be like, this is that same fucking band. Like, what are they doing? And then we're out even more money. But we don't have the missing pieces to this fucking puzzle to take necessary action. So it's like, we're your customer. Like, you owe us that much. You owe us that much. Like, we're not going to even necessarily dispute it, but we're owed a reason other than due to discretionary, editorial discretion.
Editorial discretion. Yeah, I guess that's a term. I just Googled it. I guess that's a term for like content platforms reserving the right to not publish something because of whatever their morality or whatever, like
whatever it may be. Maybe they think it's a liability.
I wonder if at the very least, maybe going through a new distributor, if this happens again, maybe they'll be more helpful as far as like the reasoning and stuff goes.
Well, we've already sold.
Or at least they could even tell you. They could even tell you like, hey, it's fucking Apple, or hey, it's Spotify. Yeah. And then maybe you can just say, okay, release it on everybody but them. Yeah. Or something. I don't know. That's really fucked up, man. I don't really know what do you do? Like there's really a whole lot you could do about it. Because you don't have a label. Like if you had a label, they could go to bat for you.
Yeah, or a lawyer or something.
So
that's what I'm saying. When you're an indie guy, 2 years of writing this badass record, it's so good, and all you want to do is get it out there for like the maybe 300 people that will listen to it. We can't. We're getting stonewalled, man, for no reason. It's not like we're fucking like racist bigots or anything. It's not like we're like even political that we could offend anybody. It's not like we're even cussing up a storm. It's not like we're telling people to take up arms, and our record has nothing to do with anything that's controversial. Hell, I don't even know what 50% of the lyrics are about. What's that?
None of that matters. It's all about the money. So if they're not accepting it, it has something to do with the fact that they think that there's going to be a liability for having you on it because of some other artist or something. Because if you go on
it's so
Apple,
fucked up, man. I don't know what it would be.
You go on Apple, you go on freaking Spotify.
There's all kinds of bullshit.
Think about like Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that. That like Cannibal Corpse literally has an album cover of like one corpse. Pardon the graphic nature, but one corpse, like one zombie, literally eating out another zombie. Yeah, and it's like on Apple fucking Music. Disgusting shit. But you can get that on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever. So I guarantee you, it has something to do with like legislative liability over like rights or something like that.
I just wonder what the fuck. Why can't they just say?
Because I don't know, dude. It sounds to me like the distribution platform is just fucking lazy, or they don't want to. They kind of mentioned that they don't want to be in the middle.
They don't want to rock the boat.
So which is because they have to maintain their relationship with these platforms, which I guess.
But dude, if we were Taylor Swift or we were fucking Megadeth or the Stone Temple Pilots version 5, they would fucking be up our asses trying to help us get this thing released under their service. So like,
yeah,
it's really discriminatory in a fucked up way. It's like the small time musician, and it's so tough to get ahead. So, dude, this might be the most punk record we've ever released, because if it doesn't go on streaming platforms, and we're completely fucking the system. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, if you want it, you got to buy it from us. If you want to hear it. So that might be the way to do it. I don't know.
Dude, when I Googled editorial discretion, there's a thing, a Reddit post that came up about DistroKid. Is that who you were using?
I don't want to put anyone on blast. I'm not going to go public with it yet.
So, but anyway, this one post says, DistroKid founder here.
Yeah.
Thanks for writing this. Sorry for the frustration. In general, stores have told us they've had enough of a certain type of content and reject it for editorial discretion. I don't know why One If by Land would be considered, I don't want to say mainstream, but like common enough type of music that it would be rejected for this type of reason.
That's so fucking
wild.
But
yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. But he goes on to say that this usually happens to more of like ambient sounds type stuff, where it's just like somebody uploads an album of like
whale noises,
Rain to Sleep To, or like whatever, and it's just like, okay, well, we've got literally 150 albums of whale noises because it's an easy way to make a quick buck. We don't want them anymore. But dude, I don't know, man. That's really,
it seems like a mistake.
Fuck it up. In all honesty, you just might have got lost in the churn, because all this shit is automated. There's no way that like a fucking intern is sitting in an office listening to the One If by Land record at every single one of these sites.
I just wish I knew what streaming platform it was, because then I would just reach out to them and be like, hey, you guys made a bad call. Can we go back to the tape and take a quick look? Because like you're fucking everything up over here on our end.
This is going to be a problem just generally for creators, I think, independent creators going forward, because automated vetting. Because think about you've even talked before on the podcast about how you can't even use a One If by Land song in a YouTube video, even though you own it, because fucking YouTube flags it.
They think it's someone else, or there's no way it could possibly be me. Yeah.
And all of the headache that you would have to go through to prove that you own that music.
Yeah, I just agree to it, and I'm like, yeah, all right, we'll take it down. God, it's so fucking agitating.
It's annoying. I don't know. And you have to use these services because they're monopolies.
I don't have a choice. I have to. Yeah, I got to get it on streaming platforms, and I can't write Apple directly because that isn't how it works. And we're nobody. You know what I mean? In the scheme of things, we're nobody. So, dude, I don't know. Maybe when I'm getting this shit kicked off here at the podcast, if you want to look for games that begin with the letter H, I didn't get that far on the notes. This is always your random fucking task. But anyways, like every episode, we talk about current games that we're playing, and we're recording this on Saturday evening. And there was a really big game that came out recently, and the game was Marvel Spider-Man 2, although I didn't buy it yet. So don't worry, we're not going to spoil any of that for you yet. I didn't buy it. I'm still working through Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, and I got to say, I thought like I was at the end. I had to make like this major decision, and I made a decision, and I kind of regret a little bit the decision I made. And I'm curious what would have happened had I done the other thing, but like things are in motion now, and I thought that was going to be it. And now there's like a whole subset of things that have come up as a result of my decision. So I'm fucking in, man. I want to play Spider-Man 2 because we discussed that we were actually going to do that before we jump into Alan Wake 2. But Man, I don't fucking know. I'm enjoying the shit out of it, but I also have my first game night at Cursed City, Warhammer Quest Cursed City, tomorrow at my brother's. I'm trying to finish up that Zeppelin I've been building and painting, so I haven't been playing Cyberpunk nearly as much as I should be. And the rest of my evening tonight is going to be working on that Zeppelin and finishing all the little pieces of it. But Jake, what are you playing? Are you playing anything different?
So I finished up the faction quest line that I was on in Starfield, and so that was a good point for me to like kind of jump out and play something else for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mentioned last week that I was playing Alan Wake Remastered. I finished that up. Dude, that game is good. I will admit though that sometimes the combat is awesome, but like I mentioned last week, it's a little cheap at times. How they like put enemies behind you,
sure,
and like, and it's surprisingly hard, regardless of what difficulty you're on. Even if you're on like easy or normal or hard or whatever, like it's no matter what, it's kind of challenging. I will say that I love the fact that there isn't some like, and I guess this is maybe like a micro spoiler, so I guess earmuffs, kids, if you really care. But I love the fact that there's no like crazy ass boss battle at the end of the game, and it's just like a narrative set piece. To me, that's kind of like like an Uncharted 3 or something like that. I think that that's cool. Like I don't, out of a game like that, I really don't want to be doing these like crazy boss battles, Yeah,
I know.
But I will admit that when we finished the game, because Sarah kind of watched me play the whole thing because she was interested, I immediately went and rewatched the trailers for Alan Wake 2. I'm so much more excited for it now. Because like before, like I forgot everything about Alan Wake before I played it. And then I played it and now I like know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, wow, you can't really know what's going on in Alan Wake. Like the first line in the fucking video game when you start it up is like how much better the story is not knowing what's happening. That's like literally one of the first lines the Alan Wake says as the narrator at the beginning of the game. Mm-hmm. And so like there is some speculation about what's real and what's not. What is what is a fabrication of reality and what is actually real. And but it's awesome in that way. And so looking up the trailers for Alan Wake 2, I was like, I noticed two things immediately. One, it looks fucking awesome. And two, like it seems like I don't know how close it is to the first game as far as like timeline wise, but it seems like they're like the FBI agents in the second game are looking for a specific character from the first game. And I will say though, like it looks way scarier.
You think?
Than the first one. The trailers make it look way spookier than the first one. The other thing too that I'll just mention real quickly is it does have like some very strong like Resident Evil moments in the game.
Yeah, and they're using
where, like you'll walk into a room and there'll be like all these platforms and shit, and it'll just be like it'll like zoom out for a minute to kind of show you everything, and then it'll go back to Alan Wake and you've got to like flip these switches to lower this fucking crane and like do all this stuff. Yeah. And that's very like Resident Evil puzzle kind of thing.
They said the save mechanic is going to be like instead of a typewriter, it's going to be like a thermos.
Right. So but all in all, I loved it. I can't wait to play the next one. But I'm glad I'm taking a little bit of a break because I did start Spider-Man 2. I started it this morning, actually. So I'm about 2 hours into it. I'm not super far. It's pretty good so far. I mean, it's very much Spider-Man. Like, it doesn't seem... it seems like there's maybe a little bit of a difference in the gameplay, and that you have like these like it seems like the powers that you have and like the skill trees are a little bit more complicated than they were in the first game. But I'll admit I don't really remember a lot because I haven't played it really since I platinumed it.
Yeah.
And Miles Morales was a very toned down version of Spider-Man. Like, it was a much more truncated experience. But you have these like cooldown abilities and shit now, which I don't remember there being in the first game. I mean, people can correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't recall.
But it's pretty neat. I don't know. Like, I am kind of. It seems like it's gonna be interesting. Like, there's characters in this that I wasn't expecting them to be. I wasn't expecting them to be in the game. But yeah, I don't have a lot to say. Like I said, I'm only like 2 hours in, but I'm excited to play more of it.
Yeah.
And the wingsuit shit is really cool. They've added a lot of like there's like a big thing in cities, especially in New York, where because the buildings are so tall, they'll get these like wind tunnels that go through all the buildings. And they kind of play that up with the wingsuit, where if you like find one of like these wind tunnels through these buildings and you equip the wingsuit, you'll like just scream through the buildings like at full speed. It's awesome. It gives you this real dope sense of speed.
Graphics are good.
It's cool. Yeah, I mean, to me, it just, I'll be honest with you, to me, it just seems like a slightly better looking Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah.
Like, it's not blowing me away by any means. I tried it a little bit in fidelity mode, but I can't tolerate the 30 frames. So I switched back to performance mode, and I can't. There is definitely a difference in terms of like the resolution and the lighting and stuff, but they do have a 120 hertz mode on this, which is cool. So I guess it allows you to play it at like 40 hertz in fidelity mode, which is
a little better,
kind of neat. But I don't know. It looks, in my opinion, it looks acceptable. Like, I'm not going to sit here and claim that it's not a fucking Naughty Dog game as far as graphics go, but it looks pretty good. It's just not blowing me away or anything.
It's not a Plague Tale 2. One of the fucking most beautiful games that came out that no one talks about.
Yeah. So that's my experience right now. And the other thing that is just slightly, it's not video game related necessarily, but Sarah and I watched the original Scream last night.
Oh, so good.
And that movie is amazing. Dude, I forgot how, like, that entire movie is a fucking homage to the original slasher films.
Oh, yeah.
I never even thought about it. Like, how everything is shot, like how all of the like the campiness of it, and then it like hit me in the head at the end of the movie, like, oh, this was made by Wes Craven. So like,
Scream is a masterpiece. It's
so fucking good.
So good. The first Scream is so fucking smart, and it knows what it is, but like it's also like super meta, and it's like if you're a fan of the horror genre and slasher genre, like, there's no way you dislike the first Scream. Yeah,
so I know that like the latter movies don't get as much love, but we might actually watch at least 2 and 3, maybe even 4. I saw 4 in the theaters when it came out, and I love that it's like a 4 to me, and I promise we'll get right back to video games after this, but 4 to me, when I watched it in the theaters, seemed like almost like a retelling of 1, but like the next generation.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it was just kind of like, it was just kind of modernized.
But it's a continuation of the story. It's not like a reboot.
Yeah, it's like,
so I think that's kind of cool. But anyway, I just wanted to say that because I've
seen them all. I like them all.
That movie. Did you see the new one from like 2 years ago?
Yeah, I watched
or a year ago?
Yep.
Was it good?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of up there with like the sequels. You know what I mean? It's not like the original.
Right. Okay.
How could it
Fair
be?
enough.
And the original's fucking, you can't recreate that twice.
Yeah. The thing that I thought was just one last comment. The thing that I thought was kind of funny, and I knew that spoilers for Scream that came out fucking 20, 30 years ago, like how Drew Barrymore dies in like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I don't know if you noticed, all of the promotional material and movie posters has her in it. Mm-hmm. And it's so
she was
weird.
At the time.
And Sarah was like,
she was like the biggest actress in the movie.
Right. And Sarah was like, I thought Drew Barrymore was going to be a main character in this movie because she's never seen the movie before.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's kind of weird. It's almost like it's a little bit of a different story, but it's almost like how Johnny Depp was in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, but he like dies right away. Mm-hmm. So like, but he wasn't like a huge actor at that time.
No, he wasn't.
So yeah, I don't know. But all in all, had a great time with it. So we can move along now.
Hell yeah. All right, let's get into some game talk here. Every show we go over listener feedback. You can write our show on our YouTube channel. Just go and leave a comment under any of our podcast videos or any videos that we have up. Actually, just leave us a nice little comment, and we will get back to you either there or maybe there and here. Or you can subscribe to our Patreon. Jesus, I always fuck that up. Subscribe to our Patreon, become a patron of the show for $1 a month, and send your questions and communique that way. And it will always be appreciated. But on YouTube, this is the first time we've heard from Evil Demon 420. But Evil Demon 420 says, not interested in Xbox. Fair enough, Evil Demon 420. I'm not either, but, you know, if they start selling and stealing my favorite titles from PlayStation, what choice do we have, dude? So, yeah.
I think it's hard to tell from the comment like what the tone is of the statement. If he's just like, oh, I'm not interested in the Xbox, is he saying that like, I'm not, like, you guys were talking about it, I know you expressed interest, but personally, I'm not.
I don't want to hear about you guys talking about Xbox.
Or if he's just like, I don't want to hear you guys talk about Xbox. Like those are, I guess.
Or he could be, because, yeah, we're talking about the acquisition and stuff. And, yeah, like you said, like he could be like, yeah, I'm not buying an Xbox.
But in my opinion, everybody should be open to all platforms of gaming.
Sure.
Obviously, we're a PlayStation podcast. That's our preferred platform. We love it. But we also love games. Like, are you going to sit here and tell me that Super Mario World isn't one of the greatest video games ever invented? That's not a PlayStation game. But sometimes I want to play fucking Super Mario World.
This is true.
Deal with it.
This is true. Next up, J1 writes in on YouTube.
Feeling a little sassy today.
Yeah. J1 writes in, he says, I'm interested only in the PlayStation 5 Pro, not the Sony PlayStation 5 Slim. So I can get down with that opinion. Or that statement. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the Pro is going to offer when it is released. But
now, J1, I would be interested, Mr. J.
There's a lot of interest going on here.
If your interest might change if when the PlayStation 5 Pro is announced, they also announce that the PS5 Slim is like $300. Then would you be like, oh, I'm only interested in the PlayStation 5 Pro when you can, for $200 less,
get the Slim,
get the PS5 Slim? Just throwing that out there.
It's interesting.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah,
to use an old idiom.
Don't do that. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Chickadeek. Yeah, so not many comments, but we had a few. So thanks for writing into the show, both of you, Evil Demon 420 and J1. Now, we're going to get into the news. And the news is the thing that we normally, we don't break news on this show. We don't even attempt to. We don't have the means to, but we do comb PlayStation websites, specifically Push Square, every week. And we look at their articles, and then Jake and I have a little dialogue about some of the stuff that stands out to us. Sometimes we'll look at the PlayStation blog. Sometimes we'll look at other places. But today, all of these have come via Push Square. So I don't know if you saw this, Jake, but conversation has predictably begun with the release of Spider-Man 2. The director actually came out and kind of pushed back a little bit and was just like, hey, this game is worth the price. So some longtime fans have indicated that for a 20-some hour game, the $70 price point seems a little unfair. And the director kind of was just like, listen, you're getting fucking 20 plus hours of high quality fucking video gaming, like probably bug free. Like this is my input, you know, but so this brings back up this discussion about what do people want? Quantity or quality? Because if you want both, it's going to cost even more. So, I mean, what? I don't want a game to be long just to be long. Like, I don't want a game to be incredibly short if there needs to be more to it. But you got to put your faith in these developers and these creators that they're going to give you a good experience. And I think that the director of Spider-Man 2 is essentially just saying, hey, we have dumped so much time and energy into this game, and we're giving you the best that we have. This game is worth the price, we promise. So it's just like, people just need to fucking back up a little bit. And just, you know, that's my opinion. Like, just like, goddamn, like, you know, I don't want a fucking game longer than 20 plus hours, like 23 hours or whatever for Spider-Man. I don't want anything longer. In fact, I'll pay more for a game that's a little shorter because then I get more of my time back, as long as it's a good experience. So I don't know. Now, could you have a game that's like 8 hours that they're charging $70 for? That to me seems like a little bit of a stretch if it's not a great game, you know? So I don't know. There is a line somewhere. Where that line is, I think, depends on the gamer. But we have to, a certain degree, trust the studios to give us and to price their product at a fair price. And to me, this seems like a fair price. It's only a next-gen game. It's not released on PS4 or old-gen consoles. It is supposed to have like really fantastic loading times. It's fucking licensed product. It's Marvel. It's Spider-Man. And from what I understand, it's a fucking good-ass game. So what do you want to pay for it, dude? $40? $50? $60 maybe? But then you're paying for Spider-Man 2 $10 less than what you'd pay for like the new PGA Golf or something. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? No. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, is that like my clapback to this always is that this $70 game is without a doubt better than 99% of any other game selling for $70 on the store. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, if
do you have to say anything else? I mean, it's a fact.
Like if it was,
I haven't even played it. I know it's a fact.
So like, if you're willing to spend $70 on, like you said, fucking PGA 2K22 or whatever,
because of its replayability.
Or like I don't know. I mean, and I don't know. Name your $70 game. It doesn't matter, right? I guarantee you that Spider-Man is better than 99% of those games. So it's, I mean,
like, if Spider-Man is a game that you're interested in, then yes, right? So I don't want writers to be like, oh, Spider-Man is not even up on this. I would much rather play fucking Gundam 2935 or something. Like, no, like if you're interested in Spider-Man, the point you're trying to make, Jake, I'm going to cut you off, is it like, it's worth the fucking money. That's it.
To me, this is kind of like the argument is like when you're talking about like gas mileage in a car, right? Like there are all of these like caveats and like there's all this nuance to it. But let's say a freaking, some cheap ass Chinese car comes out that you can buy from Amazon. It shows up at your house in a box, because these things do exist.
I'm all about it.
And it gets fucking 100 miles to the gallon. Let's just say that that's true, because I know these things exist. You're going to sit here and say, oh, I'm sorry, but your freaking
Lexus, Tesla,
your
Lincoln.
Lexus, your whatever, your Ford F-150, because it only gets 20 miles to the gallon,
should be the same price.
A worse experience. It's like, no, you got to understand what you're paying for. Like, if you're paying, like you're paying for the quality of the game. And I guarantee you that if Insomniac wanted, they could have made this 300 hours long by just shoving shit in it. But they made a decision to say, hey, it probably would hurt the overall experience, and rather than include subpar content, we're going to give you a tight 30 to 40 hours, and it's going to be the best superhero game you've ever fucking played. I do not understand this argument. If the game came in at 6 hours, yes, I 100% agree with you. That game should not be $70. Even if the game came in at 12 hours, I'd be like, okay.
This is maybe a $39.99 right? title or something, right? Spider-Man 2, 12 hours, $39.99, $40, $50.
But dude, this is. I know this is probably a vocal minority, right? But at the same time, we get this. Like, the industry has to respond to this over and over and over again, and it's like, it's not a right, it's a privilege to play video games. And sometimes you just have to pay for something if you want something that's quality. And like Sean Layden before, and like Sony recently has been saying, if you want games that cost $300 million to make, you better be willing to pay for them. And I don't know. I'd be much more worried about the games that are costing $70 that aren't as good as Spider-Man.
Right.
Why are you trying to tear down a game like Spider-Man?
Because the game everyone's talking about, man.
I guess, right? Because it's popular. What you should be doing is you should be pissing all over the guys that are releasing $70 games that suck. I don't know. This is a tired argument. We talk about it a lot, but
yeah, I think we've said our piece, and we'll keep saying the same thing about this. But regarding Spider-Man, as an aside, Sony, for those who haven't played the original Marvel Spider-Man, first of all, what the fuck are you doing? And if you haven't played the Miles Morales or the DLC for Spider-Man, there is a Sony released story recap so that you know what the fuck's going on. And it's on YouTube. It's
in the beginning of the game, too.
Oh, okay.
So, like, yeah, I watched. I mean, I guess I'm assuming that what they released is the same as they included in the game.
It wasn't super long, like a minute and a half, 2 minutes or something.
Did you watch it?
No. Okay. I just saw the timestamp on the video. I watched, like, the very beginning of it to make sure it was Sony issued, and it was. So.
Yeah. So they do include a recap at the beginning of the game. It's just like a short cinematic where, like, Miles and Peter are talking about what happened previously. And it's like, it's in this clever way where he's, like, Miles is applying for college and trying to figure out how to describe himself. It's cute. And the whole game is very, to go from something like Alan Wake and like Starfield that's like can be very raw and shit like that, to a game like Spider-Man where it's a lot, more happy-go-lucky, in some capacity, has been a little bit jarring, but I kind of like it.
Yeah,
it's a
nice change.
Very Marvel, though.
All right, man, very good. So, talking about Marvel, I just wanted to put this quick note in here because I forgot that this was a thing, and I was thinking, well, maybe the listeners have forgot about this also, but it was announced a while back that EA MOTIV is making an Iron Man game. and not the VR kind of game. But there's a recent news post, and it's indicated that Unreal Engine 5 will be the engine they use for the upcoming title. And the word is this game is actually in early development, but I'm thinking this wave of Marvel games is finally starting to slow down. I know we have the Wolverine, but I do know the X-Men game, Midnight Suns or whatever, didn't do super well. And I think that this big fucking superhero push shit is starting to fucking like wear out its welcome. So I'm okay with this. But I forgot about this Iron Man game. What's that?
Iron Man is one of those characters, though. It's kind of like Superman, where it's like hard to make a Superman game because he's just so powerful that like trying to make a game where he's not just OP on everything is in like flying around and shit kind of defeats the traversal problem in open world games and stuff. So like Iron Man to me, it kind of gives me that same vibes. But I could see Iron Man being a cool experience because he has all this very human technology with like guns and missiles and all this shit like that, which could be kind of neat.
Yeah.
But it just really boils down to how they present it.
Yeah.
EA Motive did something else recently? What was it?
I don't remember. Don't remember.
It was a Star Wars game.
You'll have to look that up, man.
Motive.
I don't know what EA Motive has done.
They did the Dead Space remake.
Okay.
Recently, and I think they did Squadrons maybe.
Squadrons was a good game.
So they're a decent studio.
They are. So yeah, I'm kind of over the superhero thing. So I'm kind of injecting a bit of my own manifestation power to hope that like these, what was the one DC? It did really bad. It was like the open world shit.
You're talking about Gotham Knights?
No, yeah, that too. I don't know, but there was one that was like games as a service, Marvel or DC superheroes. Is that what it's called? DC Heroes or?
Oh, you're talking about. Are you talking about? You're not talking about Marvel Avengers.
Yeah, maybe
the Crystal Dynamics one.
Maybe, and it tanked.
Yeah, well, it didn't do very well because I think DC Universe Online is still active.
Oh,
like, people still play that.
Maybe
game.
That's what I'm thinking of too. I don't know. There's been a lot of fucking games like this. I'm kind of over it. All right, let's move forward, Jacob. So the next news point I have is a brief news point on Push Square indicated that some sort of analyst has been signaling that Sony very well could be under a lot of pressure at this time to make a major developer acquisition soon. And I thought that maybe you and I could have a brief conversation about this. And do you think it's within reason to feel that Sony should feel this way? Pressured to make it a big acquisition soon? First of all, I don't know that Sony has the fucking coffers to do this. I don't think they have the money.
Well, they don't have $70 billion.
Not to do a fucking Activision Blizzard acquisition, but like.
But they could get somebody smaller.
Yeah, but
there isn't really anyone else that big. They're not going to get an EA or whatever. I think like the obvious thing that everyone's thinking about is Square, right? So, Square is interesting because they've been seemingly, I don't want to say struggling recently, but their games have not necessarily lived up to their hype, even though they've been great. I played Final Fantasy 16. It was fucking awesome. But there's been a lot of hubbub around whether or not that game was successful. So but now they're doing all these deals with Microsoft about getting Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox and all this stuff. So does it make sense for Sony to buy Square? Of all of the Japanese developers, maybe either them or Bandai Namco or something like that, which would give them access to maybe Dark Souls and things like that are really, really popular.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't think that there is, like, if you're talking about a retaliatory kind of acquisition, it almost has to be a publisher of some kind. And really, Sony's wheelhouse is gonna almost be in the Japanese space. Now they could come around and say like, we're gonna buy Take-Two, which would be like insane, but they could do it because then now they own Grand Theft Auto and they own BioShock and they own like all this other shit, which would be a great competitor to something like Call of Duty. But
we have a Take-Two news point coming up down the pike here, but yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm just speculating, right? So I don't know if you have any particular opinions, but Capcom is doing so well right now that I don't know why they would sell to anyone. So Sony would not be able to get them for a good price.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way they're going to get Capcom, and I don't even know that they should feel this pressure. You know, we first off don't even know how this acquisition is going to be played out by Microsoft. I think it would be smart to kind of lay low and see what Microsoft ends up doing with these studios. They've already said that the Call of Duty games are going to be coming out on PlayStation. No problem. So we know that's not changing. But I don't know. I mean, would it be considered them jumping the gun by going and making a crazy acquisition right now before waiting to see what the ramifications of this acquisition does for Microsoft and for the general landscape of the console? I hate to say the console war, fucking hate that, but the console competition, right? They're competitors. I mean, it would make sense to maybe lay low and just see and stay on course. But at the same time, you know, maybe they need to act now. And I think the analyst is thinking that there's a little pressure now on Sony to do something. To maybe optically seem relevant, to optically look like to the business entities that they still can swing their big schlong around, you know what I mean, and do Sony shit. So I don't know what this means, but I think Square would be an awesome one. I think that would be awesome. Square Enix would be fantastic. Konami, I don't think will ever happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't own Kojima Studios, right?
No, they do not.
That might be a nice one to pick up. Although I don't think Hideo would be okay with that. He answers to nobody. he's a fucking solo lone wolf person. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really have any opinions about it. I just think that it's an interesting thought to maybe ruminate on a little bit as the days go by. What's going to happen there? But all right, we can move on. I'm not sure, Jake, if you've seen this or know anything about it. Usually when they mention the game Assassin's Creed, my ears just automatically clog up and I don't hear anything else afterwards. But apparently there is an Assassin's Creed game called Nexus that's being developed right now for Meta Quest 2, which is VR. And it actually looks pretty good. And it hasn't been confirmed yet for PlayStation VR 2. But a VR stealth Assassin's Creed game seems kind of like a neat idea. So, I mean, this is always good for the VR space. But the long-term concern of mine is that, like, I just don't think there's enough money in the platform yet for gaming. I think that there are way more practical uses for VR than gaming that need to be kind of tapped into. But I love the idea of VR games, and the listeners know you and I both loved Gran Turismo in VR, and I've been enjoying the Switchback, and I have a couple other VR games I've enjoyed. The Moss 1 and 2. The Moss, sound like an old man. Moss 1 and 2, I've been enjoying those. I beat them both. I would recommend them both. What's the one with the Beat Saber is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a lot to VR. It's just, again, it's one of those things that, like, I think the older you get, the less energy you have, and the more you just kind of want to, like, kick back and relax rather than be fucking full on engaged by a video game. But I think an Assassin's Creed Nexus would be cool coming to VR too. And it hasn't been confirmed yet, but I thought it was interesting. I didn't even know this game existed or was being worked on.
Before I respond, am I lined up right in OBS? Because I just realized my camera's kind of...
I moved it a little bit.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
It's not terrible.
I'm not going to touch it then.
Yeah,
I'm not going to touch it then.
Don't
because I just noticed looking at my thingy that I was a little bit to the right or left or whatever.
Yeah, it was a little off. It's a little better now.
As far as Assassin's Creed goes, I don't know if this is a type of game that I would be interested in playing in VR or not. The concept is cool, but part of me almost feels like it's better in this sneaking around space in like a horror capacity. I don't like, to me, stealth games are kind of difficult as it is without adding the clunkiness of VR to it. If that makes any sense. Like, I'm trying to think about sneaking around in a world with like the VR controls and all that stuff, and like doing are we doing the teleportation movement? Are we doing the like real time, like free look movement? Not to mention like running up buildings and shit like that. Dude, this has motion sickness written all over it to me. But maybe I'm wrong. I hope they deliver something that unique and interesting.
You just have weak ankles, man.
Dude, I got weak something.
Fucking ankles.
Dizzy for a month. But
oh Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it definitely could be an interesting experience, especially like. Plus, the thing that I'm kind of trying to think about from an execution perspective is like, not, pardon the pun, but how do you get that visceral sort of like, you imagine he's gonna like stealth kill guys and stuff, but it's like, how do you get that visceral feedback in VR, you know, like where you're actually hitting somebody or something, you know, like do the sense controllers provide enough haptics to make that feel awesome?
Oh yeah.
And if that's the case, then maybe it's going to be a winner. Maybe it's going to draw people to VR. But one thing is certain, VR needs more games of a
major titles,
high caliber, right? So this is hopefully not going to be a dud and inherently good for the platform. I don't know, but I want to see something happen with VR. Right now, my brother has my VR too.
Dude, he was playing Cyberpunk the other day.
Was he?
Yeah, I'm so excited about that because I got to fucking talk with him if he's playing the Phantom Liberty shit.
I don't know if he ever played the OG story, so he might be just going through.
He's probably having a blast. That game's never better. So good.
Yeah.
Very good, man. All
yeah,
right.
I'm going to see him tomorrow, so I'll ask him about it.
You should.
But I know that he was playing Beat Saber and some other stuff, and his wife is super into that Phantasma game or whatever that game is called, where it's like the ghost hunting game that just came out on PSVR.
Yeah.
And Phasmophobia, I think is what it's called. So I'm wondering if they ever really dicked with that at all. But as far as Assassin's Creed goes, I don't know if you have anything else to say about it. I
nope.
think I said enough.
I got nothing. Let's move on. The next news point is just a nice little deal. When I see a nice little deal, I let the listeners know. Plus subscribers can get $30 off 2 PS5 products from Sony's official store. So if you buy 2 things, you can get $30 discount. So I believe, I don't remember what it is that they have on sale over there. But I want to say VR2 is one of them. I think, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. Well, I got to look at the store here, but you can go to PlayStation Direct and this will tell you where the deals are. It's Bundle and Save is what it's called. The DualSense.
Sounds like a car insurance commercial.
The DualSense is one of the ones. So that's kind of nice. PS5 bundles. who's going to do that? And then they have like the modules for the DualSense Edge are listed on here. So like your extra attachments to the special thing. So yeah, they've got the Pulse headset, the camera. So you bundle, you can save $30 if you get two things. Just a quick little FYI for the listeners, because who doesn't like a good deal? All right, next up. And as we careen through this wild podcast, Silent Hill Ascension. It's an interactive series, and we have a trailer for it. So this is, when I say interactive, I mean that it's kind of like you watch it and make decisions. There's not really any gameplay. So it's a weird thing. I think that's what it is. They're calling it an interactive TV series, and Konami's making it. It's going to be episodic. The first episode comes out on October 31st. So I don't really understand what it is. But if you're a Silent Hill fan and you want a taste of Silent Hill this October, the last day of October, you can check out Silent Hill Ascension and dip your toes into that. I don't know if it costs. I don't know if it's free. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's something. So, Jake, do you know anything about this?
I'm just kind of scrubbing through the trailer right now. I don't really know what the hell I'm looking at.
They weren't really clear about what it was. Konami.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, I was thinking maybe it would be more of like a Telltale kind of experience, but if it's just like a,
it's considered a
end or whatever,
a GenVid title according to this website I'm looking at.
GenVid?
GenVid. I wish I could make my screen a little smaller here so I could check out this whole site here. There's like a glyph. Let me see here. It just seems pre-install for free now. I don't know, but I'm kind of interested in this, if I'm being completely honest. Because you guys know I love my Dark Pictures anthologies. And they kind of play out like stories that you just have a little bit of agency over the story with different dialogue and things that you do. I think this is kind of, you can watch it, but you also interact with it a little bit. It says, what exactly is Silent Hill Ascension? This is on fandom.com. It says it's a massively interactive live event in which the worldwide audience determines the course of the story and its characters as the series unfolds. That's interesting. So you have to tune in on time? And it's like a huge global. So this would be, now we're tapping a little bit into, remember there was something about there being some sort of patent for movie theaters for gaming? We talked about briefly.
Yeah, I think we thought that maybe it had something to do with like, maybe you'd have like a controller at a movie theater or something. Yeah, we talked about this. It was kind of strange.
What if it's more like in lines with this? Everybody gets a way to vote for what happens in the thing that you watch, and it's a collaborative input that would be really fun in a group of like a huge group of movie people, and then knowing that your answers were interfacing with everybody worldwide, that everybody's influencing this live action thing at once. That'd be really fucking cool, actually.
I would probably find it irritating whenever like the decisions that I made did not happen.
I think it's a good idea. That's a really cool idea. They're calling it an MILE, Massive Interactive Live Event, which I think is what Silent Hill Ascension is.
Huh. It's kind of bizarre. I mean, I won't be participating. This doesn't sound like something that's going to interest me at all. But I can understand how a bunch of people might love the community of something like this.
In a shared space. Could you imagine sitting in a theater with like 100 people?
Yeah, that would be kind of. It would be much more enjoyable if you were like live together with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And like everybody's just on their phone in their house.
Right.
Like, because there's no, like, you wouldn't get that fan reaction of like guys choosing something and then it doesn't go their way, or like vice versa.
Someone's yelling out, "Who the fuck told him to do that?" Yeah, right.
Yeah, like
crazy?
I think it would be way more interesting in like a live setting. But the fact that this is going to be on your phone while you're sitting on your couch, I just don't know that it's going to strike as hard as something like that might. But that's my personal opinion. Again, I'm not really.
It's an interesting thing.
This isn't really my cup of tea, but it's an interesting
concept.
Concept for sure.
Jesus. Yeah, that is cool. And then the last news point is one that you brought up briefly, and I don't think you meant to, talking about who Sony might look into acquiring. You said Take-Two. Netflix is apparently in talks with Take-Two Interactive right now to acquire Grand Theft Auto for their streaming services for video games. And I don't like this. I think Netflix needs to get the fuck out. But this is the world we live in. So just so you know.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I don't know what that means, if they're just specifically talking about streaming Grand Theft Auto online.
The whole franchise, it says, Netflix has been in conversation with Take-Two, this from Push Square, to secure access to the impressively popular Grand Theft Auto franchise. It's not clear whether they're looking to line up a new title, or wants to make available previous releases.
I'm sure that Netflix is just trying to leverage their streaming tech in some capacity. So they're like, oh, well, we can't make games, so we're going to take one of the biggest games in the world, and we'll just put it on our servers and leverage our streaming tech to allow consumers to be able to play this game without having a console or without having to install it or whatever. Even still, I don't. This doesn't do anything for me personally, but I think that these types of deals are going to become more and more common as streaming becomes more and more common. And I don't know. I'd be interested to see how well it performs, because that's the big kind of thing right now. Is like, how good is streaming? Well, it's only as good as your internet connection, and as good as the server that's serving it. So
yeah,
maybe Netflix has an answer that is yet to be solved by the large platform holders for people like us living in rural areas. Because I can't stream shit because it's going to run like crap. So, but people that are in big cities or right near Azure hubs and stuff like that, they can stream stuff no problem because their latency is low. So it'll be interesting to see how this develops. I don't know that I really have any particular comments on the fact that Netflix is specifically dealing with Grand Theft Auto or whatever, more than like questions for the functionality of this sort of industry as a whole.
Right.
The streaming thing, I mean, more than the video game and how video games are going to sort of push into that. So I don't know. You could definitely see this might be an instance where Netflix is trying to be like, hey, well, what if we became just a streaming service for games? So rather than having like streaming games through PlayStation Plus Premium or through Xbox Game Pass, maybe as part of your Netflix subscription, if you've got a controller, you can stream Grand Theft Auto or freaking, I don't know, whatever game you want. You know, it could be just an addition to their service, which would be it's kind of a neat idea. If I'm being honest, it allows this type of streaming stuff to kind of diverge from the monopolies that are the platform holders. Someone else can come along and say, hey, maybe you like my service more. Or, hey, maybe you're already subscribed to Netflix, but you want to play this game? Sure, it's part of it. I don't know. It's kind of a neat idea. I don't know if I'm going to love the implementation of it, but I can understand why this might be an interesting strategy to think about, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just... we're never not going to be able to, like, get through a show where we don't talk about like some sort of acquisition opportunity or something. It's just kind of where things are right now. I'm not very interested in that right now, to be honest. I kind of want to talk about games on our podcast, not this fucking business shit.
Not business stuff.
Yeah. Anyways, that's why we do the podcast to begin with, because we like the game. But speaking of games, let's talk about the new games coming out this week. Now, we know that we just got Spider-Man. But for October 24th, Jake, we are getting Archetype Arcadia, Cry Machina, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, which I hear the trophies are out now for this. Pickleball Smash. October 25th, we're getting Postal Brain Damaged, Stray Souls, Swap Shot. And on October 26th, we're getting Frog Detective, The Entire Mystery, Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord, Ghost Runner 2, excuse me, I just burped into the mic like a fucking hero, Journey to Foundation, Mineko's Night Market, Sudama Relation, World of Horror. October 27th, we're getting Aka R, Alan Wake 2, Desolatium, DreamWorks Trolls Remix Rescue, EA Sports UFC 5, and Star Trek Resurgence. So Ghost Runner 2, Alan Wake 2, Metal Gear, there's some shit coming out, and then all the other games that I haven't heard of that are probably pretty good. The only one on here that's a must-buy for me is Alan Wake 2.
Yes, sir.
Is that
Alan Wake 2. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in this list that I actually care about. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, although I heard that they did literally nothing to those games, so I don't know if I'm really that interested in it. I do want to play Metal Gear Solid 1 again at some point, but I'm kind of hoping that they do like a freaking remake or something of it. You know, because it definitely plays like it's 30 years old. So that's all I have to say about that. Ghost Runner 2 is probably going to be pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. I heard the people loved the first one. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing that's going to be great. People love the UFC games, so I'm sure people are going to love that. I wish Alan Wake 2 was coming out a little bit later, just so I had time to kind of play Spider-Man a little bit. But I don't know. I might end up playing Alan Wake and Spider-Man at the same time. It really boils down to whether or not, if it's like one of these games that Sarah wants to watch me play, then I might be able to like play Spider-Man on my own time and play Alan Wake whenever I'm with her.
I think I'm going to do Alan Wake first now. The more I think about it, it's just the right season to play it. I don't want to play Alan Wake in the wintertime.
I just didn't want to play Alan Wake 1 and 2 back to back.
I can appreciate that.
I have an issue with burning out on ideas, and I really didn't want that to happen with this. So I want to give it a little bit of breathing room, even if it is a week or two. So, but I am going to probably play it, and I'm looking forward to it. But everything else on this list is stuff that, am I going to play? Probably not.
Alan Wake 2 is also, not to cut you off, a lower price point than Spider-Man 2.
$60, yeah. Pretty cool. So, looking forward to that. For sure.
Yeah, dude. All right, well, we got to tie this off, dude. It's been a good podcast. I do want to say, in closing, I'm just going to make it 119. In closing, episode 300 is the next episode. We have done nothing. But to be fair, the listeners did not answer our call. We said, would you like for us to try to do a live thing? Nobody responds. So this is on you, not on us. We asked. We
should do the whole thing in VR.
We wear headsets and just talk. Yeah. God.
No, I think we should just maybe like, I don't know. Well, I think we should just have a normal show, but maybe have kind of a topic of conversation.
Well,
that is relevant.
The movie
I think
300.
That's probably the best way to do it. Yeah, just
what
the
is
movie
review 300 the movie?
We'll talk about how dope Gerard Butler's abs are in that movie.
Yeah. I'm glad you said abs and not ass. I'm not sure where you were going with
poison.
That. I mean, I wouldn't have been offended either way, but I'm just glad that's where we went. I think that we do need to have a special conversation. I don't know what it would be, man. 300 episodes is a lofty achievement, man. I'm stoked to be a part of it. Disappointed that we don't have better ways to stream. But all of that would happen if we just had more of a listener base that were, and we appreciate the listeners that we have, but we are also in the throes of reality, Jacob. We're not kidding ourselves. We're not a big podcast. Our listeners know we're not a big podcast, and I think they enjoy that because it's a little more personal, probably. I know we have listeners who don't write in. I know we have listeners that do. But if I'm being honest, I really have absolutely no fucking clue how many people listen to this show. I don't know how to read the metrics or the analytics. I'd like to think that there are at least 100 people that listen to this show. I don't know. Maybe it's way more than that. Maybe it's way fucking less. I know I listen to a lot of podcasts and I don't write into them and I don't write comments and I don't try to interact with the hosts and I don't join the patrons. So there's probably a lot of people that listen to this show that we just don't know. But that being said, we did put a call out and asked what you guys thought we should do for 300 and nobody gave any input. So that being said, we're just probably going to do a regular show and we're going to keep doing what we do and maybe we will have a show topic. I just don't know what that topic will be. And maybe we won't. Maybe we won't have a show topic. Maybe we'll just fucking run with it, dude. You know what I mean? But needless to say, we're fucking doing it and that's exciting. So
yeah,
300,
definitely.
300 is fucking awesome. That's so many fucking episodes. I can't even imagine.
300 episodes is so many episodes. Even if you average one a week, that's like, if you do one a week, that's like 6 years.
Yeah.
And we took a pretty big hiatus there in the middle, like around the 200 mark. So, or around the 150 mark. So we've been going for 10 years now, over 10 years now. So that's pretty wild if you think about it.
It's an achievement. I don't know what it is we've achieved. We've released a lot of PlayStation fucking content. So there's that. And
yeah.
Dude, yeah, I don't know. Well, anyways, if you're a listener and you want to chime in and give us any kind of input with suggestions, recommendations, what you would like for us to talk about on episode 300.
If you want to see Fred Oakman smoke crack rock on episode 300, make sure that you log in to YouTube and leave a comment.
I like how you said crack rock instead of just crack. It's so fucking specific. Almost as if you might have some personal experience. It's a really fucking weird thing to say. Of all the drugs, I wouldn't know where to find crack rock. But yeah. Yep. You heard it here first. No, but yeah. It's going to happen. And we're probably going to record it over the weekend. And it is going to be Halloween. So maybe, at the very least, Jacob, we can dress up for Halloween.
Sure.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to do a whole podcast in a Michael Myers outfit. But I will maybe start the show with it. It'll fuck my voice
Maybe
up.
I'll just dress up like a stripper and I'll wear nothing but a bow tie. Think the audience would like that?
Well, we would definitely wouldn't be able to live stream. We'd have to edit it somehow.
I'm not going to be swinging my dick on camera or anything like that. It's not like we would get demonetized. I mean, do you get demonetized for flashing man titties?
I don't know. I mean, we don't monetize anyways because we don't have enough people.
It's true.
We're not
It's
making
true.
any money on it, on the YouTube videos.
That's true.
Anyways, let's just shut up and let the listeners do their thing. If you are doing trick or treat between now and by the time you hear our next episode, be safe out there. Don't eat the razor blades. Don't hand out the candy apples with the razor blades. And, be kind to one another. And we'll talk to you soon. So I guess that's it, Jake. You got anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
Nope.
Oh.
I'm going to go get some.
My brother is playing Honkai Star Rail, by the way.
Oh, yeah? Did you like it?
Of course. He fucking loves it. It's so annoying. All those fucking games. Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to I saw that this was part of our closing. So anyways, like Haze, Honkai Star Rail, and Heavy Rain. P.S.
P.S.
This is
awesome.
Austin.